Financially, this organization has a track record of being at a net negative every single year. In 2019-2020 academic year, Kasamahan has $28,000 in our account balance. Last year's academic year, we sat at negative 400. So knowing this, how does this fact specifically influence your mindset and possibly taking on the responsibilities as treasurer?
Well, as member of the finance committee, this is a fact that was known to me, and it was definitely not very appealing when I first joined to hear that. But to have gotten experience under the previous two treasurers, to see what you guys have done in dragging this organization's finances out of the mud, essentially, it inspired me a lot to take up leadership outside of Kasama in order to better prepare myself for the time that I would want to take this on. This space is so important to me because it provides any of us an opportunity to connect with our culture, an opportunity to learn more about the people, learn about our history, and the reason why I kind of put so much time into growing my experience financially, learning how to do this, being a member of the finance committee, learning how to fundraise, learning how to budget, is because I wanted to be a part of the people that can make this space what it is. And I've seen what you guys have done, and again, to go from 28,000 to 400 in that amount of time is not easy. And based on past trends, past data, everything, I feel like I have everything I need to continue that trend. I know how to forecast, I know how to make trends. I use data to do things because that is what we're taught in school, but I want to go beyond the data. I want to use the data to build the space that opened me with open arms when I first came to USF. And I feel like with enough financial experience under my belt, now that I have enough financial experience under my belt, I feel very ready to take this position on and serve all of you.
Both of you are very experienced and have the qualifications for this role. But why you? What makes you the best candidate for this role, and why are you running in the first place?
That's a good question. It's kind of hard looking back on what I talked about during my speech. My why is all the people that I'm able to meet in this space. In my first year, being an international student, I was very lost. I was trying to figure out who I was. Not dissimilar to what was talked about during the PCN director speeches. And in my second year, I took a YPSP class, some random YPSP class, and I met my ate, and my ate dragged me by the arm to an involvement fair, where I met some of you guys for the first time. I met Jess for the first time, I met Jada for the first time, and she kept bringing me back in. She brought me to Kata, she told me to pick up, she brought me to capital events, and I wouldn't have met so many of you guys if not for that. And that is why I want to serve you, is because of the people. Kasamahan, for me, has been a space that has given me so much. It's given me the opportunity to reconnect. I'm from the Philippines, but I went to school in an international school where the American education system was employed. And I've put time into this space because I love this space. I am here for PCN. I am here for finance committee stuff. Even when the treasurer is not there, I try to show up to every event I can, because not just because my ate told me to, but because I ended up loving it. I ended up loving the people that I got to meet. I put real time into this space, and my why is to serve the people, serve my friends, my leads, my board, to serve everyone that has given me a chance to grow as a person in these last 3 years.
So one of the biggest challenges that the board usually faces is working in accordance to SLEs and universities, often changing and often confusing guidelines. The entire organization will count on the treasurer to ensure that you protect the status of the organization by following those ever-changing guidelines? How will you work with those?
I think it's most important to keep a clear and consistent dialogue with the people we're working with, it's ASUSF and it's SME. Being very upfront and asking questions for fundraising plans that I have about, is this okay? Is this something we can do? And I understand that there are things that can make us money, but sometimes that means going over the heads of the people that we work with. And that is an experience in the past that I've noticed as a member of the finance committee. I think just being aware of everything, every regulation, and just keeping a common and clear dialogue with them. Being in communication about events, banquets like Phil Grant, events that involve outside organizations, being clear on exactly what we can do, and being in communication with SLE and ASUSF about that, and relaying that information to the board as well, because their board members are going to want to do events with outside organizations. They're going to want to have food. There's things like that that people want to do, and it's my job as the treasurer to be that liaison, to be the person to talk to ASUSF, to be the person to talk to SLE about these things, these regulations. What can we do? What is it within our parameters to run this event? And if it's not, I will try very hard to figure out a way to make it work, because I care about your whys too. Why you guys put in space, the work that you guys put in, and I want to reward that. The treasurer job is a background job, it is a logistical job. It is managing budgets, it is doing numbers, but for things to move around, for people to actualize their visions, that stuff needs to get done. That's why I want to be your treasurer.
So, what would you do if a board member wants to hold an event, but it goes over budget?
It's a good question, Chico. I think the most important thing is to be in clear, just talk to the board members. Whatever may have happened, it's my job to forecast the budgets and manage the numbers for events. I think it's really important to just talk to that person. It's not a blame game, I feel. It's really. And my job is ultimately to support the other board members, the CAPAs, the CRDs, the co-ADs, for the events that they run. I would first go up to them and ask, hey, I would let them know that they did go over budget and hope that they would acknowledge that and seek that accountability from them, because there is a budget and you must follow it. But again, it's not a blame game to me. I want to open that dialogue with them for them to really figure out, hey, why do you think we needed this? Was this a necessary expense to make? Was this something that was so necessary that we had to go over the budget to do? And I would want to hear their side, because they wouldn't have made that decision if they didn't feel like it was the right decision for their event, if it wasn't the right decision for their vision. And I just want to get their side, but also let them know that, hey, this is something that we have a parameter to stay within, and just be open and clear about that the next time we have.
Last question, RJ.
Currently, how Kasamahan Treasure operates has zero structure. And it has zero structure. And in my personal experience, coming in the middle of the academic year, and especially during such a busy time with CAPA and PCM, I haven't had the time to really try to fix that myself. And so I wanted to ask you that, knowing this, knowing that, and I could give you many examples, such as in order to do reimbursements, I'm getting texts from people about it. I can't find past expenses on previous events like Kasama Prom, all that. I can't find any templates on how to reach out for fundraisers. And so you don't have to answer on how you fix those things, but with your expertise and experience, how can you bring structure to this position for both yourself and for future treasurers?
Sustainability is definitely an important thing that is to touch upon. This is a good question. I really think that utilizing the finance committee more, and obviously I'm just biased because I'm not finance committee, but I feel like it's a resource that the treasurers of the past have not really utilized. Oftentimes in my experience, it's just while I've been in space, it's just been one or two people in the committee. And the treasurer work is a lot of planning ahead, and sometimes when you're looking far ahead, things that are happening now get lost and shuffled. I think to bring more structure is to just be more open with both my committee and the board, because this role demands so much of you planning-wise. I feel like you have to plan during the breaks, during summer, during winter break. These are times that you need to plan, because like to keep a big org like Kasama Han ticking, we have to fundraise like at least once every month. These are things that need to be prepared in advance. There are emails that need to be sent to SLE to book spaces, to be able to get outside stuff like boba. Like, these are things that need to be set up in advance. And like something that I mentioned in my platform and during my speech is just creating these sheets that like actually we get taught to make in song classes. I'm sure Jen will tell you the same thing. But like, we get to make these things, and in all honesty, it's boring work, it's busy work, but like as you said, wouldn't it have been nice to have a template like that? Like, these are things that I can do, and these are things that I can also send to the rest of the executive board should they need it. And especially with bookkeeping, it's so important to have your numbers, and have your numbers somewhere so that you can look back on them. Even with budget proposals, as a member of ISA, I didn't have access to the previous Culturescape proposals, so I had to do everything by applying. And I don't want that experience for I didn't want that experience for my successor, and I don't want that experience for Kasama Han's successors in the finance committee, as treasurer, even on board. Like these are such important things that we need, and I will do my best to create systems and create templates and everything like that, so that the board will have access to these things moving forward.
Earlier you mentioned that sometimes you need to get over our collaborators' heads to get ahead. What did you mean by that? That was regarding the SLE question.
Yes. Oh, I get it. But there have been times in Kasama where we have done things for fundraising, but and while it has generated revenue, it hasn't exactly been okay with SLE and ASUSF. It has led to Kasama being put in hot water and being placed in, like, just having more eyes on us. And I want to improve that by just being more open with our dialogue about any potential fundraising plans, anything that will happen, any banquets, ordering food, everything like that, and just being more clear in communication of that with the people that we have to work with, because ultimately we are a student organization and we have to work within these parameters, and so it's just my job to like be that connective tissue between Kasama and SLE and Senate.